Hello, hello. Welcome back to episode 10 of the Residents Complete Discography. Previously, we covered this whole awesome era, like all the 80s right up to the early 90s, which was just so much awesome stuff coming out. And then the last episode covered this very strange time of over a few years where the singing resident is strangely absent. He pops up here and there with like one track here, one track there. A lot happens here. The singing resident comes back, and the residents become a full band. Definitely for the first time in a really long time. But anyways, let's just jump in because there's a lot of changes and a lot of stuff that happens. I didn't really want to start this episode with this release, but it makes sense with the timeline. So that's just the way it is. In May of 97, Adobe, the software company, hires the residents to perform. They haven't performed since Cube E. And they haven't released a proper album in several years. So all they really had going on was Bobuck had like a lot of like instrumental demos. So they went and performed. This show wasn't released. The show wasn't like highly known until many years later. Like most people never heard of this, myself included, until years down the road. But anyways, so basically the show is random like Bobuck instrumental stuff, and basically the residents sing like random lyrics over it. It's a very strange show. You could tell they don't really know what they're doing, but they really had to like bring a show together quickly. On the good side, you have this is the first. Oh, here comes my friend. Hi, buddy. On the plus side, this is the first performance with that newer female vocalist that I mentioned came into the picture for Gingerbread Man. And then this is hard to do. This cat isn't usually a lap cat, so this is very distracting. But he loves when I'm in the studio, and now you get to see him shed all over my synthesizers. Okay, let's focus. Let's try to focus. So yeah, there's a new female vocalist that came in during Gingerbread Man. Then she was very involved in Bad Dan to Midway, both in character and voice acting and singing. And here is her first live performance where she gets to sing some old songs and be a part of the show. So that's awesome. On the not so awesome side is, these songs sound like what they are, just random music with random lyrics sang over them. And the sound quality of the recording is really weird and pretty crappy. I would say it sounds like they're either playing all the music into a tin can or it's recorded through a tin can. There's some very tin can sound going on. And this was never released, so no big deal. Bits and pieces were released in a box set, a beautiful box set that was like 3 CDs and 1 DVD. I can't remember what it's called right now. But, and I remember being like, what the hell are these recordings? And then being like, oh, they sound pretty shitty, and never really thinking much of it other than being confused by it. But the show was finally released in 2016 on this Disfigured Night CD. We'll get back to this. So Adobe show was on this.
It's only been 2 weeks since Howard died, so I guess I should.
Then in August of 1997, the Residents play a show for Marlboro. Marlboro, the cigarette company, hires the Residents to play a show in Germany. So they took music, some of those demos, and finally like put a solid piece over it, like a written piece, not just let's just sing some old lyrics. And so, like it becomes this very strange story, so singer resident. But here's some things about Disfigured Night. First of all, a lot of people hate it. And I got to say, when this came out and I got it in the mail, I was really confused. It's one of many times when I got a new Residents item and thought, ooh, am I done with the Residents? Am I... But it happens a lot. And then they either bounce back or you come around and something else and find some love in it. But yeah, Disfigured Night, the music is incredibly dorky. It is really dorky. If anyone knows what this like synth, this workstation, like one keyboard is that they're using on Disfigured Night, let me know. I hate it. I hate the sounds from it. So yeah, Disfigured Night, this is just one resident with one rompler and a bass player, and then the singing resident doing his whole thing. Yeah, it's and you got new female vocalist mostly dancing along. She does get to sing a little bit on here, but she's really kind of finding her thing here still, but it's coming along. Adobe show, the NIS is better. Yeah, I really was confused by it at first. It has really grown on me. I just rewatched this, and I would say it's tied with the Big Bubble for weirdest Residents thing. This was released just as a VHS. Oh, it's got a typed label on it. Originally, it was later released as a DVD. Beautiful Steve Serio art all in the background, which really adds to it. His really like cutesy but grotesque art. It's really awesome. But yeah, this has grown on me. This is by far the best version of Disfigured Night, which makes this very confusing.
Somebody's pain inflicted past. He saw a woman raped by someone's less than happy fate. If life was nothing more than just a vehicle for pain.
So I just got this. I got it in trade. I never had any interest in picking it up. I assumed this was just a CD release of the VHS, the Marlboro show, because it's never been released, but it's not. It's just that Adobe show, which, like I said, kind of sounds like crap. It's more of just like a for completists sort of thing, I would say. Like if you're really curious and want to hear, this missing piece of the puzzle, it's fine. But yeah, this is just that. Then this has the original Disfigured Night, which is like instrumental versions, the original instrumental demos before, this story was written around it. They're not, the music isn't that good. It's incredibly dorky rompler music. Some of it sounds like, Welcome to the Dollhouse to me. I don't know if you're familiar with that movie, but that's the lyrics to Welcome to the Dollhouse pop in my head. And then at the end of the CD, there's just a couple like little excerpts from this. Like why is this not on here instead? Number one. Number two, what's with the artwork? The artwork is from this. I don't think they wore these costumes at the Adobe show, so all the artwork is a lie. Yeah, so this was released in 2016. It's not good. It's for completists only. So at the Adobe show, the guy who I think it was the booking guy from the Fillmore in California, in LA, was there, and he was like, we need to get you guys at the Fillmore. So he hired them to do live at the Fillmore show in October. And this is an awesome show. So this was the night they released Disfigured Night on VHS. So it was put on VHS to sell at the Fillmore show. This is a Ralph America release, like I say over and over again. These are like, look at the difference in this beautiful packaging, super clear photos, big fold out, hand numbered, just made really well. Huge difference to that pile of crap I just threw across the room. But anyways, this show is awesome. I can't believe this was just a few months after that Adobe show. I mean, we're talking like 5 months time. They reworked like all this old stuff into these awesome new versions. It's broken up into pieces. The first piece is Louisiana, where they do Jambalaya. They do 44 from Blackberry. And then they do 3 songs from Gingerbread Man. Then they do a section of Freaks, which is songs from Freak Show and Bad Day in the Midway and Loss of Innocence from way back on the commercial album that has a very circusy vibe, so that makes sense. So that disc is awesome. I think this might be one of their best shows. All of a sudden, like on replaying this, I love this album. There is disc 2, which is almost entirely the Disfigured Night thing. So if you don't like Disfigured Night, you're probably only going to like disc 1 from this. Yeah, beautiful photos, really cool costumes. You really see the female vocalists getting a lot more comfortable in this one. And yeah, really becoming a huge part of the band. If you don't have this, get it. It's been pressed twice, I believe. Believe the first pressings were hand numbered, and a few years later they did do another, just a straight up repress. It looks like identical. October of 1998, they finally release a studio album, Wormwood. These are all stories from the Bible, like real stories from the Bible, and it's awesome. So first of all, they haven't released like a proper album since like Gingerbread Man in 94. Like after that, it was all sort of either instrumental stuff, unfinished stuff, video game soundtrack stuff, Discovery Channel soundtrack stuff. That's all there was. You know, I just heard of them during Freak Show. I got really excited. I was buying whatever old stuff I could find. You know, I got Gingerbread Man and Our Finest Flowers, and then it just seemed like forever. I was like, what happened to them? Also, MTV stopped mentioning them, so I was like, are they even still around? What is going on? Because, you know, you didn't hear of like Pollux Christie or like, you know, stuff like, or Hunters or anything like that. Like, I didn't hear about any of that stuff till years later. And then this popped up in the record store, and it was really, really exciting. It was just on CD. You'll see there's a huge lack of vinyl during this era. And the last episode, you know, vinyl wasn't hip back then. And unfortunately, all this stuff still hasn't been reissued on vinyl. Wormwood did finally get on vinyl, so great. But anyways, pros and cons here. The idea is awesome. All these like weird fucking Bible stories, you know, the Bible, but there's also like little explanations in the album. Like, yeah, this is from this part of the Bible. It's about this. Go check it out for yourself. When I first heard it, I was kind of uncertain. I was kind of on the fence because on one hand, there are some really good songs on it. On the other hand, it's still more of that rompler fucking sound. And at this point, it's been way too long of doing the rompler thing. So this is all very generic MIDI sounds. On revisiting this, there are some like awesome songs in here. I don't know how to say this. Bathsheba Bathes, but that song's awesome. Hanging by His Hair, The Seven Ugly Cows, God's Magic Finger, all like really awesome stuff. So new female vocalist is on here, and there's also a second new female multi-instrumentalist / vocalist that starts getting involved here, that also becomes a huge part of the band. So yeah, it's starting to it's really coming together here. This is very important. Even if you don't like this album is really important to everything Residents coming after this. Definitely check it out. I think it's aged very well. I think it starts weak, but you got to find them. Like side C is fucking solid. Yeah.
Misery. There
Also, real quick, in 1999, the Residents released a cover of a song from Fiddler on the Roof for the CD that was all covers from Fiddler on the Roof. And it's really cool, and I forgot all about it until doing this project. And it also is the first time ever you hear New Guitar Guy, who would later be known as Bob. It's kind of later in the song, and all of a sudden you hear that Bob style lick, and that's another piece of the puzzle of the Residents becoming this band, this awesome band with a lot of awesome people involved. So, the Residents finally have a new album they want to tour with. It's been the first time that they toured since Cube E, and now they got this whole Bible album. They got the two new female vocalists slash multi-instrumentalists, and now you got New Guitar Guy. Top all that off with a real drummer, and you have the Residents for the first time ever as a fully live, full band. Like, it's so awesome. I've never seen the Residents with live drums, and it bugs me. I've seen live percussion on, more like electronic stuff, but not an actual acoustic drum set. When they toured this, I had no idea. Again, that was still pre-internet for me. I didn't have internet until the 2000s. And so for years, I thought the Wormwood tour was strictly Europe. It wasn't until way later I was like, wait, that actually played in the US? What a miss. But so yeah, there was a live album, which I do not have because you no longer need it. It was a really beautiful Ralph America release, but it's kind of expensive. You don't really need it. It is in the new Wormwood box. This is a current cherry red release, and it's I would say it's one of the better, if not best, CD box sets. They really kind of put everything you need in here and divided the tracks up better. They've had some screw ups in other ones that I won't talk about right now, but yeah, this has the whole studio album. It has the whole limited edition live album. It's got a bunch of extra stuff, but it does kind of suffer from, it's a live recording. So you have your super digital slick MIDI sequenced Wormwood studio album, or you have your live Wormwood album, which is way cooler musically, but, the sound quality isn't quite as good. So with this show, like what kind of started with the whole Elvis impersonator talking parts of Cube E that expanded into the full show storytelling of Disfigured Night. It continues with the Wormwood Live. If you're not an impatient person, the Mr. Skull talking parts between songs are really awesome, but I could see if you are impatient, them getting a little annoying. This is also the first time that Mr. Skull, the Skull Mask, officially is like now the singing resident, whereas 13th Anniversary and I think Ty's Freak Show, the skull was used for an instrument playing resident. Just a nerdy fact there, because a lot of people just associate Mr. Skull with singing resident, but it wasn't always that way. Yeah, here's singing resident is Mr. Skull. He has these whole like talking parts between the songs about the Bible stories and which is very offensive to some people in Europe and some states where they particularly liked the Bible and found it offensive. Even there's nothing offensive about it. They're telling you exactly what's in the Bible. Some people just like to get mad. Like me just telling you about these albums, and maybe I'm offending you. But, oh well. This does sort of have that problem that they had also in QB with the live recordings, where a lot of the vocals sound like this, because I don't think the technology was there for like getting a good live recording while wearing a mask. But yeah, like Mr. Skull talks, it sounds like this, like the Bible. Anyways, there is that. And keeping with the live album tour traditions of the Residents, they did do a Intermission style album that they do on almost every tour. I think QBE might be the only tour that doesn't have some sort of Intermission album. But yeah, so they did a little limited edition CDR called In Between Screams. That was the music from the Wormwood tour, like, I don't know, walk-in music or intermission music, whatever. I was really excited when it came out, and I was disappointed when I got it then. I was disappointed years later when I picked it up again and gave it another try and got rid of it. And in revisiting it, I still don't like it, especially since for Elsie and the Mole Show Intermission albums are so good. And then, yeah, this, I still don't like it. It's basically like old, like gospel blues recordings, like lots of like clips and samples from that stuff with like super generic beats put over it, which Moby had done years earlier in a much better way. This just, I don't know. It's kind of sloppy and not done particularly well and is too long. I don't know. But supposedly limited to 1,000 copies, and it was just a crappy CDR. There's so many out there that either they lied about how many there are, or people have booted them because it's not too hard to copy a CDR. But you don't have to buy it because that's also in the Wormwood box set. But it's there. Maybe you'll like it. I don't like it. In December of 1999, a Santa Dog collection comes out, CD, only on CD, called Refused, and it gathered all the old Santa Dogs And they also recorded a whole bunch of new ones. I think it ends up being more than a whole side. Again, this is my vinyl version that I put out. So all that stuff is on here. It's surprisingly good. It doesn't get too old. It's not all based on Fire, and they try different stuff with it. So yeah, the additional tracks are great. And they gathered all the old Santa Dog, which is great. It was originally just a Ralph America limited edition CD. Again, always good quality. Yeah. And then now there's also the vinyl one. You have to find them used. These are long gone. But great collection of all the Santa Dogs. All right, so I talked about how your choices were super kind of lifeless Rompler Wormwood studio album or live band awesome, but kind of not the greatest live recording Wormwood live. But what if you were to take that live band that you're so excited about and jump back in the studio? That's what Roadworms is. And this came out in June of 2000. And it's one of the only vinyl releases from that time period. This was from Euro Ralph. And it's a great vinyl pressing. It's in a marbled blue. There's also a mispress on black vinyl, but blue is better. But yeah, they jumped back in the studio and played all the songs with the live band the way they've been playing on tour, but in the studio. So now you got great top quality studio recording of the proper full band playing these songs. So this, in many ways, is just the ultimate Wormwood release. This is really fucking good. It's not the whole album. I think there are some oddball tracks. Yeah, there are a couple tracks that aren't on Wormwood, though, that they kind of did in the show. So a lot of these songs sounded really dorky in the Wormwood studio album. Like they're kind of like, a good example is Burn Baby Burn. The studio version is kind of like dorky and upbeat sounding. And I don't know if it's just because they really wanted to slow stuff down for the show, or if it was because the one particular female vocalist that was now becoming, up front. She's not even a backup singer. She is absolutely equal with original singing resident. He now has an equal counterpart with her. And I don't know if it was for her style, but a lot of these songs are slowed way down and they're way more moody. They're darker. And at this point, she is way more confident. She's super cool. And all of the people involved in this are so important to the residents. And I can't stress that enough. Yes, there's Singing Resident and there's Bobuck. And yeah, they lost Snakefinger back in 87. But yeah, the guy in the drums, the guy on the guitar, the female bass synth player slash vocalist, and the upfront lead female vocalist, all top notch and have made this band really come back. I mean, even if you don't like this album still, like if you watch that last episode and where they were with just these like nothing but instrumental MIDI pieces, and just it's really seemed like it was all falling apart, and now they are back in a big way.
Everybody needs to pray. Say a prayer. Father, as you pray. Pray they see before they turn to dust. We're an American band.
Watching my breath.
Above the floor and wrote something. Something strange surrounds me. Shiver.
April 2000, they decided to redo Discamo. I don't know if there's a particular reason why, but they released a CD. That's not this. They released a CD called Discamo 2000 that had the whole original Discamo EP, including the Goosebumps side on it, as well as Discamo 2000 and a Twinkle 2000. And a random Discamo 92 song was on it as well. That you could tell was probably when they were working on the Our Finest Flowers. It sounds like maybe it was thrown away from those days. It did eventually pop up on this Discamo reissue from 2017. All that stuff is on here, so this is really the Discamo 2000 CD on vinyl. First of all, I would say Discamo 2000, the track is pretty mediocre. Like this Discamo 2000 sounds like a shitty 90s techno song more. But anyway, it's not great. It's not terrible. Twinkle 2000's a little bit better. The Discamo 92, much better than either of those. Discamo 92 sounds really good, and it could totally have been part of Our Finest Flowers. Now let's talk about this vinyl. They did all these limited edition of 1,000 copies of like several different colors. That's not limited. that's a full release. But anyways, huge pressing mistake on this. So the original 12-inch is an EP because it should be. It's a 45 RPM EP. There wasn't a lot of audio on it. But for this reissue, they added all these songs. So now it's as long as an LP, but it's pressed at 45, which is just wrong. It's very wrong. So it's not a great pressing. If they would have just changed it to, if they would have cut it at 33 RPM, it would have been a perfectly fine LP, because that's how much audio is on it. But like, yeah, someone didn't know what they were doing, which is what happens a lot when major labels that don't generally work with vinyl anymore decide to jump in that vinyl game. That's actually pressed by Music on Vinyl. That does a lot of good stuff. So I don't think they would have made that mistake. I think whoever hired them and put the audio together, it was on their end. So I'm not blaming Music on Vinyl. They've done some good things. Someone fucked up. Finally, we're going to end this one with, in August 2000, Ralph America released another very cool package, a CD of previously unreleased stuff. This one mostly focused on 90s stuff, but it does have some very old stuff as well. Limited edition, hand numbered. The cover art is stupid. We haven't been talking about the cover art. It's kind of gone downhill. Classic era, beautiful artwork. 80s, you had that kind of weird computer art phase, but it still looked really cool. At this point, like all this artwork seems kind of not a lot of effort. You see a lot of eyeball resident being used, which I've always found to be like sort of a cop out. It's like it was used for Eskimo, then forgot about. It does pop up on commercial album, but they didn't fucking use that image on everything. Now they're starting to. But for this one, it's just sort of a screenshot of their website at the time. Not the best artwork, but I guess the CD is based on free downloads that they're giving out on the website at the time, so it makes sense. It's just not visually nice to look at. But yeah. So yeah, the stuff on .com, it starts out great with this like outtake from Our Finest Flowers, and then they have a Prince cover, 1999, real good. Destroys the Prince version. Then there's a song called Ninth Rain that's like really cool gamelan orchestra style stuff. Awesome. So yeah, rock solid beginning of the CD. Then there's Wanda the Worm Woman from that Prague show that I mentioned. From 1995, it was a show that was all freak show stuff, but it's not the Residents at all. It's a hired cover band. So again, I don't know why that's on here. It's not the Residents. It's just, as far as I'm concerned, it's random people covering the Residents. It doesn't go on there. And it really breaks the flow of the album as well. Then there's a little clip from a Thrown Away soundtrack for Conceiving Ada. Paint It Black is on here, which is part of the Adobe show. And it claims this is from the show, but it sounds way better. So I don't know if they re-recorded it for the CD or overdubbed it. But if they just remixed it and made it sound as good, that's even more annoying, because that means that Disfigured Night CD that I chucked across the room, that means that whole show could have been remixed to sound as good as this version of Paint It Black that came out on .com. So I don't know. I don't know what the deal is with that. Again, was it laziness? If you're going to put out this damn show and it can be mixed properly, do it. But yeah, an outtake from Hunters is on here. A little snippet from, for a while they wanted to do a live show for Eskimo back in the 90s. So a bit of that is on there. They're now in real time doing that now. But yeah, lots of great stuff. And there's also the I Hear You Got Religion, which is a recording from 1969. It is the oldest ever released recording of Residents People. I mean, this is years before The Residents was a thing, but it's those people. It's an awesome little jam. Yeah. So great stuff. They've really bounced back. They've become a real band, and this is what we're going to see for some years now. And like I said, even if you don't like Wormwood, this is like probably the most important change that's happened to them. And I think the band would have just fizzled away if it wasn't for these 3 or 4 people that have come into the picture just now in this episode. So yeah, coming up, we got more. We'll have more tours and recording stuff still bouncing up and down. But yeah, I think this went too long. Keep at it. All right.